Scott Frost and company still looking ahead to 2023 and also looking ahead to who they can bring in the transfer portal.
Yeah, and this is a big weekend, actually, for Nebraska coming up here, hosting two Alabama transfer portal guys, safety and defensive lineman. So it's it's kind of crazy that we're talking about like adding recruits on that are immediately eligible to play in the upcoming season right now. So it's kind of cool to see this happening, and I think, like you said, Nebraska's already ranked number one there in transfer portal moves in the Big Ten, and you know what? You keep doing it until you can stop, until you're told to stop. So, you know what? Nebraska's adding every kind of position group they can right now, every way they have, and obviously, I think that everybody can agree that they've added a lot to this, a lot of pieces to the puzzle here, and yeah, you just keep on adding more on there while you can, and get as many bodies out there on the field, because everybody knows now this it's a free for all out there, and you got to do what you can, and obviously Nebraska has been making a big move on that side of things right now.
Been doing my best to try to track down these two transfer portal names for Bama. Anyway, I can't find them right now, but maybe somebody can help us out.
Let me pull them up. I'm not totally versed on their names. Let me see if I can find it for y'all. But yeah, it's a big weekend for them right now, and let me just add on to that coming up the following weekend, they've got official visitors coming in, a couple of big names from the Kansas City area, and then the following weekend after that they're hosting a Friday Night Lights #1 camp. So it's a huge recruiting weekend then too. So. Nebraska bringing in tons and tons of guys, and I mean, right now the headliners are all like guys out of the Kansas City area. You got a couple of 4-star wide receivers and a 4-star, probably the best offensive tackle out there in the whole Midwest, all out of the Kansas City area coming in here in the next 2 weeks to visit. So a lot of things going on, and these guys are all, I'm talking 2023 kids. I mean, we're actually talking real recruiting instead of transfer portal, or instead of free agency like we've been dominating with. So a lot going on right now, recruiting wise with Nebraska. They're putting their best foot forward, and obviously, the biggest news that's rocked the whole college football scene today is Dylan Raiola announcing his commitment to Ohio State. A guy that Nebraska fans were drooling over, that thought that he might come here, but he made his choice today. He's going to be a Buckeye, and there's a lot of time left until it's time for him to sign on the dotted line. So if Husker fans are upset about that, I wouldn't be too worried about it, because you do still have a lot of ties and a lot of time, and things can change if Nebraska can, step forward on the field and start doing some things. Maybe his decision changes in a couple of years. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah, we are a year and a half plus away from that.
Yeah, he's just starting his sophomore season. So
yeah,
come on.
So yeah, especially those out of state commits, I got to think, are less binding for the most part.
All that does to me is that the news made me a little bit upset. Well, I wouldn't say upset, but just a little bit bummed out that, okay, I'm not going to go see him play this year. Otherwise, that would have been a scheduled trip for sure for me, the first possible chance during the season coming up. But no, I'll have to wait another year at least to go see him play in person.
Mike got us one of the Alabama names, which I should have been able to come up with because I shot a video when he entered the transfer portal from Alabama. But shoot, I'm going through those names every day. So
I'm sorry, I stopped looking.
so Stephon Wynn is the defensive lineman. Didn't play too much at Bama. Played
No, he didn't. Yeah,
12 games, 16 tackles over 4 years. But he is coming into his senior season at Alabama.
And you know what? I mean, how many of those guys on that Alabama roster are guys that were highly coveted, guys coming out of high school that get kind of stuck there in the mix? And I mean, obviously they all want to compete to get that starting job, but when you're competing against a bunch of other 4 or 5 star guys too, and you've been there for a long time, maybe you look where the pasture's greener and where you can get on the field a lot more. So, yeah, I like I kind of mentioned, it's kind of a big weekend for Nebraska. If they can add a couple of former Alabama guys coming in, it's huge. It really is. And like we talked about earlier, that Nebraska has been making a lot of moves here in the transfer portal, and it's reload. That kind of term of reload instead of having to do your traditional grind it out through the high school ranks. So yeah, we'll see. It might be a nice combination here, but time will tell.
Well, like you say, Wynn, he was a highly touted prospect coming out of high school. He was the 3rd-rated strong side defensive end in the composite and a top 75 player nationally, regardless of position. So he was high up the ranks from IMG Academy, and South Carolina was his original spot.
If people don't know about IMG Academy, I'll just give you a quick little rundown. I've been there. I've covered games there. And it's a football factory. It's a beautiful place. It's down in Bradenton, Florida, where Tommy Frazier is from. And it's a boarding school, basically. It's a prep school, and they just bring in athletes from all over the place, all over the world, basically. And they are like an independent school that goes and plays all the other top schools they can schedule on their schedule. And there's a who's names of guys that play in the NFL that have been at IMG Academy, and it's a very special experience to go witness a football game down there. And I don't care who they're playing. I mean, they can be playing like Miami Killian or Miami Central or something, and it's just you're guaranteed to have a great game with a ton of 5-star prospects on the field, duking it out. So it's a pretty cool place. And if anybody's down there on vacation and there's games going on, if you're there in football season, I suggest you go there, go buy a ticket, and go watch a high school football game there. It's a pretty special environment. It looks like not quite like a pro stadium, but like a real high end JUCO type stadium, or like a high end any high school stadium in Texas. It's a pretty special environment.